blanche, a white card for every expense and every deal that you're going to make, but it needs to be possible for Takahashi-san in this case to actually negotiate a position, take a position on the proposal from the other side, or make a proposal and actually make certain concessions and come into a better understanding that, okay, we're actually trying to make this work, and it's not something that we cook up in Japan and then just throw it back as, okay, this is our solution. No, this is Takahashi-san who is actually making the connection, making the friendship, and who is given the responsibility to do so, because that will give a much better feeling on a personal level, but also on the fact that there is a commitment. Company to company doesn't mean anything. That's the implementation phase, not the negotiation stage.
Do they understand it in headquarters?
That's a question to Takahashi-san.
To me.
Yeah.
難しいですね、これは。Yeah, now I feel I'm like a foreigners
In Japan, in your own company?
in company. Yeah, I feel I'm seeing like foreigners.
Right. But you're also the only foreigner who can make this happen. Maybe being a foreigner is not so bad, but I mean, if you're really serious about this, I mean that's maybe challenging for you. I don't know whether you want it, but then you need to fight two fronts. You need to fight the customer, and you need to fight your company. That means that actually being a foreigner in your own organization is a difficult position, but that's the only way to get it done. And it's not convenient, it's not comfortable. It is a very strong battle that you will need to fight, but maybe that's the only way to achieve it. Because if they don't get it, they don't get it.
So no way to come aside from that battle of discussions.
Well, there's one. We have been talking a long time over. Basically, I get more and more a better idea of your situation.
Do you want to drink water?
No, thank you.
You don't need more?
No. What I can also see is that basically you have a better chance of creating allies with your customer than with your company. So you could, as a theoretical exercise, go to your business partner and say, okay, why don't we try to see what we can do, you and I can do, in order to make this work. So what can we do? You instead of sitting at your putting yourself at the other side of the table with your business partner, you're going to say, okay, well, I have this I really want to make this happen. I want this project to succeed, right? But I need to persuade head office. What are we going to do? How are we going to do this? By doing that, by putting yourself at the side of your counterpart in Vietnam, you actually make it even more likely that this business will materialize, right? So instead of wasting a lot of time trying to persuade your company to make the next steps, perhaps a good approach is to say, okay, I'm going to make talk with all the people in Vietnam that are necessary for this deal. Say, okay, what do we need? So what is our proposal? Just try to really figure out what do they want. What for them would be the ideal working agreement. And say, okay, this is proposal from Vietnam. Now, Japan, it's up to you. Do we want to make this business going or not?
So, yeah, I would do in this case. I would buy the idea from the outside. Then I would ask if the headquarter will buy it.
Yeah.
So I try to what I'm trying to do is I will sell the idea from outside to headquarters.
Yes.
It depends on headquarters if whether to buy or not.
Exactly.
There is a chance.
Right.
Rather
than waiting for the
than
headquarter and making their proposal, etc., etc. Because that's going to take a long time. If you feel more comfortable with the people at the other side, work with them.
So I will be working more independent position.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you make the Takahashi KK, and you take a cut from the from the revenue of the deal.
Yeah, but actually the Japanese private companies needs that the function. While they're doing it's gonna work together, but there's some function outside is a little bit standing independently to make the deal more simple. But yeah, okay.
So basically, I feel that you are trying very hard to fight for your company to make this happen, and basically feeling that you are being held down by your company a lot to make this happen. Maybe you should just cut your burden and see if you can broker a deal without them, and then bring it back to you.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, that could be the option. Yeah, I'm really thinking and feeling that could happen.
Yeah, I feel from hearing a lot from you that there's absolute interest in making this happening from the Vietnamese side. So. So being a true broker, a true bridge, somebody who speaks English, who has the connections, maybe you should get out of the middle.
I can't follow you. Why get out of middle?
Okay, we were talking that about the difficulty that Takahashi-san has to bring his home organization forward, because basically they are a burden on his shoulders to making this deal happen. So the suggestion is, okay, why don't you change sides? Why don't you sit at the other side of the table, talk with the people in Vietnam, say, okay, what will it take for you? What would be your interest to make this happen? What exactly is necessary for you? Then trying to ask them for commitment. If we can get this done, can we bring this proposal to Japan? Yes or no? So changing sides, but basically becoming an independent link between Japan and the Vietnamese business world. Not as a representative from your company in Japan, but as a broker between Japan and and Vietnam.
This is true. If he is a strong tying with Japanese headquarters, he can sell the job. Okay, he wants to success the selling job. Okay, he needs to more closer to local site. Okay, instead of headquarters. But his responsibility is he needs to persuade headquarters. This is a difficult issue because whenever he's going to listen to headquarters' opinion, he cannot sell.
Right.
Okay, but if he cut a line with headquarters, he's going to lose job. But he wants a success job. He needs to more closer to local people.
Right.
But he closer to local people, but he going to lose headquarters time. So this is a dilemma.
Yeah, okay, but basically, I think that.
This is true dilemma.
But yeah, sure. But I think I hope I hope that basically, if we can get one step, if we can make the Vietnamese side to make one step and actually make a proposal instead of waiting for Japan to make a proposal, but the Vietnamese side to make a proposal, then he's back on the table. He has something more. He already created a proposal on the Vietnamese side, and then it's up to the Japanese side to respond to it. I think that now he cannot get closer, and without anything, he cannot really talk with the Vietnamese side. So basically, you're drawing in you're going towards a draw in chess. It's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to time out. So with every day you lose the opportunity. The chance of making a deal is getting smaller and smaller. So if you cannot pull the Japanese side inside, why don't you try to pull and make the Vietnamese side switch to the other side?
Okay.
Making a clear proposal to the other side.
Okay, this is okay. Asian people say this is not calculation. This is kind of liberal arts. Okay, he tried to smart doing business with local people, but also he need to build in communication with his headquarters. But this is a kind of discrepancy. Okay, but this is something else. He needs to make effort. Something else. This is I can say more clearly what is it, but this is I think we should not abandon kind of effort. Okay, most important is how to get job, right? So it means more important is he needs more closer to users, more closer to customers. But kind of approach is headquarters usually against him. But still he is doing something for headquarters. This is sort of, additional, I don't know, I can say that,
but he cannot persuade them, right? He has difficulties.
No, but discrepancy, but he needs to persuade them. This sort of things, actually, in the real world, we try to don't abandon. We need to make an effort to among the middle of those, two organizations.
But so if the way that I see it, right? So you have basically you have resistance on the one side and you have resistance on the other side. You've always tried to pull this side in and to make it and without losing the attraction from the other side. But it seems like there is much less resistance on this side than there is on this side. So instead of trying to pull them in, why don't you bring this side closer to raise interest on the other side? Hey, we are actually making progress here in Vietnam. Maybe no, it's not acceptable to us, but basically then you create momentum for the other side to respond to anything. Now, by holding this, there is no action here. But by not putting any pressure on here, there's no reaction here. So you actually get into a status quo. If you can bring this side a bit closer, you can actually, by action, you create reaction. And then you can switch to the Japanese side and try to bring them in closer with a counter proposal. Step by step, trying to see, okay, where do I have the most chance to actually let people move? Instead of trying to bridge it all the way from here to there in one go, why don't you try to bring this closer, this closer, this closer, this closer?
This is, I think, so-called simple saying, trust relationship.
Yeah.
Both sides.
Yeah.
That's the only solution.
But there is only one person that can establish that. That's Takahisa.
Yeah,
So that's his role basically.
Only one solution.